What's up, YouTube? What's up, Xtreme Gainz family? I'm Chuck. This is Xtreme Gainz. I am not a financial advisor. Nothing I say is or ever will be financial advice. Please do not take it as such. Today is Monday, February 21st, 2022, and this is the AMC and SPY Algo Exposed Daily, Weekly Update Preparation video for the upcoming week. It's the weekly. Although we're doing it daily, right? All right. Normally, this is a video I do on Sunday, but markets were closed today in observation of President's Day. If you were lucky enough to have the day off, I hope you enjoyed the extended weekend. If not, it was just another day for you and a day without markets like it was for me, and it sucked. So, tomorrow, the 22nd, Tuesday, will be the first day of open market for this week. And I want to go ahead and try to get my mind, and hopefully this helps you get yours, wrapped back around what it is that I do and what it is that I'm covering. And if you're following along with me, obviously it's what you're looking at as well. So, with that said, let's dig in. All right, we have the snake algos on your left. I'm looking at the 15-minute time frame, and this is the snake from 2 weeks ago that led spot on. We came out of this small time zone, and I explained all of that to y'all in previous videos, into another one, and I was unsure then, but it ended up playing out like I had thought potentially it would play out. And we got another snake last week, or the week, I guess, yeah, last week, at the beginning of the week, and it has now led a day, everything but a day shy of a week, being that today was closed. So normally, and what's happened here the last two times is on Tuesdays, I will get another snake that will then, if it's going to continue to do what it is that it's done consecutively here, and I'm trying to stay on my toes and out in front of this thing in case it doesn't, because there's nothing that says it does, right? I've never seen it happen like this. They've always been like 2-month snakes that lead 2 months worth of macro movements. So this is all new to me as well, and I explained that to y'all previously as well. But anyways, typically it would have shown another one tomorrow. But what happened is I was asked about it, and it made me a little hyper vigilant on Thursday and Friday. And I saw another indicator right here and right here on Thursday. It showed another snake on Friday. I clipped that, and I clip it from, you all know I clip it from in the morning until market close. And that is what I have here from the 5-minute chart, clipped and overlaid onto current chart. It does, it's a requirement of mine. It's what I've seen happen literally almost all of last year, and doing so, that it overlaps, which this does, and then it leads a week. So it overlaps almost a week, and then it leads almost a week. And that's what they've been doing here consecutively. Now, if it happens again, it'll be 3 in a row, 3 weeks in a row. So with that said, last week's snake is the one that shows the bullish move for this week. It did lead perfectly last week down into here. We did start to divert a little bit on the micro here when we started consolidating versus shooting back up, getting a blow up back up to the upside here. And not that we're out of range from that happening and invalidating this yet, because I believe it could still happen and still be valid. Right? If we were to do it here, or let's say even it opened at 9:30 tomorrow morning, it would still validate this. Anything past that, I'm going to, if it consolidates down the middle, or obviously goes to the downside, which I'm ready for, I think that it would invalidate this, and it would indicate to me that the same thing, micro time zone, new snake, because of the holiday, we didn't have charts moving today, orders being fulfilled. Therefore, what I saw Thursday, Friday was the lead up for this week, like I was anticipating. So we'll see how that takes place tomorrow, and see if we get a continuation of last week's snake and maybe go back into a larger time zone, which I'm really hoping for. But I don't see any signs of that. This tomorrow, if we were to get a move up and show continuation to the upside here and a following of and fulfilling of last week's snake, it would potentially indicate that maybe that would be happening here. But if not, if we stay diverted from it, we move to the downside, then obviously I'm still on track with it, and I'm out in front of it enough to be able to do this. So that's what both snakes are showing me, or I should say last week's snake, what it's indicating, and what the potential snake, if we just crossed from another micro time zone into the next time zone, what it would be indicating as well, moving into tomorrow and what looks to be the rest of this week. So that's what the snake algos are showing, and how I came to have both of those on my chart. Now, the macro to macro. This is the OG placement. The macro to macro comes from the macro descending wedge, the 7-year macro descending wedge that we were in with AMC prior to the January 2021 run-up. And this is a replicated compressed version of that. And this is clipped from the last portion of that prior to the January 2021 run-up, which you see replicated here. Excuse me. Now, I've been showing another placement of this for quite some time because it follows spot on. There's no void or divergence void like this with it. And that's the one that shows us bottoming and double bottoming down here around $7 in that area. So that's still on my radar, but we did divert enough from that for the time being, that I was feeling as if I needed to look at and reevaluate the placement of it, which I did. So what I did was go back to the OG placement of it that I had when I originally put this together, what seems like moons ago. But I want you to see this here from a macro. This is on the 4-hour. And then what I really want you to see is on the 15-minute as well. All right, so here's what that is showing. It's pretty spot on for the most part, and has been for this part, obviously minus the void that it had here and here. But it did replicate the consolidation here, the tops, almost, and you see the rest, at least for this clip portion. But what I really want, okay, you saw here on the macro, right? It does, from this point on, it looks like it's been following that. So what I really want you to look at, though, is this. And how similar it is to this. Now, this one does show more downside than what this one is showing, but they are both showing this formation. And then obviously the macro to macro shows upside move after that, which by the looks of it would be next week. The beginning of next week, we would start that move to the upside if this were to fulfill. So this is a little flatter. That would be something I would look at as potentially compressing this. We'll see how tomorrow really plays out and go from there. But I just wanted you to see the similarity in the movements that this is indicating, as well as now this potential new snake is indicating as well. Again, like I said, different levels. This one does have a little more downside to it, whereas this one stays consolidated here. It could be a placement issue, but for the time being, I feel comfortable with where I have this, so I'm not going to move it around yet. But if we do end up going flat tomorrow and following this, then I'll go ahead and look at that and see if I can compress this to match up on the level-to-level outlook with that. So, but that is what the macro to macro is showing for AMC, and that is what the snakes are showing for AMC. SPY, where am I at? 9 minutes, I'm good. Let's go to the 4-hour. This is, and it's funny to see because now I'm seeing, I was strolling through Twitter land, which y'all know I don't ever do for obvious reasons because it's just a cesspool. But I was scrolling through there for an hour or so today, and it's kind of comical. I'm seeing all kinds of people all over the place talking about, man, they're doing the same thing as 08 and 09, and I'm sitting here thinking, no shit. I mean, I've only been screaming this from the rooftops of this platform the time that I've been here, since December 5th. I've literally been talking about this entire thing, and we've been following this daily here since I started streaming. So it's just, it's funny to see everyone now coming around to this, and it's not, it's not a big deal. I'm just glad people are opening up to the idea and the possibility of my entire macro thesis and theory that originated way back even before I started streaming, and that was that these crooked you-know-whats, they are literally doing the exact same thing to run the economy into the dirt now as they did back then. And they're doing it like this, in my opinion, because they got bailed out back then. They know it's going to happen again. They took the same route to get here as they took to get there last time, and I assumed that they would take the same route to run this thing down as they did back then. And ever since I put this together back then, I've been following it daily. This overlay's been leading, just this portion of it has been leading and fulfilling since the beginning of October, end of September, beginning of October. Now, what I have here are two potential different placements for it that, regardless of this, the only thing that gets, and you can see they just follow each other the whole way through until here. There's a little variation here, and where we get that variation is where we had this move and this bounce back up out of here. And what it started replicating was the actual dead cat bounce here in the blue overlay, which was the new one that I put on for y'all to show you the difference between the positioning of the two of them and what it could potentially indicate moving forward. So the blue one has the dead cat bounce being already had, and we are literally on the free fall to the downside, if that is the case with our position and if we continue to follow that. However, the gray one is the original placement that I've had on this thing since I showed it back in December on the channel here. And what it indicates is the dead cat bounce has not happened yet. Not sure how I quite feel about that. Obviously, you can see that it really does look like it has happened. But like I've also shown you all back here, these things can play out with little nuanced moves that maybe don't make a whole lot of sense in real time, but in hindsight, when looked at, it's, oh yeah, okay, well, it looks just like that, right? So, and or it was an over exaggeration or an insertion or injection of volume to upside or downside. In this case, it was upside, and then we had continuation of downside. So it wouldn't surprise me at all if either one of these were to be the positioning of it, right? Obviously, the blue one is what to the eye it looks like visually, but if it were to, bounce here and then create another what looks like dead cat bounce here, it would not surprise me in the least bit. I've seen this happen progressively throughout the time that I've spent digging up on these charts and these algorithms, seeing these things do these nuanced moves that make no sense in real time, and it makes you want to second guess everything that you've had thus far, because it's like, oh man, that shouldn't be there, right? We should have just went straight down like the gray one indicates. Well, not so fast, right? And I've learned that over time. So, but regardless, either way, I wanted you to see that's what it is indicating with both of the placements of this. Now, I've talked about this in last week's video when we were here talking about the macro double-double. If this were to find support here at the 436 and recover last week, that there could potentially be another placement for this that would still, and it would be crazy to think that it's been placed here and it's given all of this projection almost spot on for this amount of time, just this clip of it, and that it could have potentially been in the wrong place the whole time. If it were to get a hard bullish move up out of here. I'm still looking for that. If that does happen, we'll go ahead and address the placement of that, and I'll address that with you in these videos and or on the live streams. But for the time being, I'm comfortable with where it's at, as it's been here the whole time, and it's not led me astray yet, and I'm not going to move it until it does so, right? So obviously you can see what the indication for those are as well. Now, you're looking, let me remind you, this is not candle for candle. This is not an indication, and or the intent of me showing this is not to replicate time or price levels. It is a suggested path based off of historical movement that I've identified is potentially happening all over again here. So take that into consideration when I'm showing these and when you're looking at them, and we'll be just fine. We'll avoid a lot of unnecessary questions or discussions if you can take that into consideration. Okay? So that's pretty much it. That is SPY. That is AMC going into tomorrow. That is the macro to macro for AMC, or I'm sorry, for SPY. The macro to macro OG placement for AMC, and the snake algos, and the potential for the new one that showed last week that we talked about, and the potential for it to follow the one that has led for the last week in its entirety. Spot on. So we will see how this plays out first thing in the morning. I think we'll have an indication on both SPY and AMC rather quickly as to what potentially may be happening. And I will let you know what I'm seeing when I see it. So I'll be back here tomorrow morning for the market live stream, stock market live stream daily. I'll be here same time, same place, 9 a.m. from market open to market close. So I hope to see you there. If I don't, and I better, I will see you all tomorrow night in the update video that I put out after market close. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and I will talk to you all tomorrow morning. Later.